This episode of the Boys in the Booth podcast is in memory of Jesse Hudson Caden and Avery Pierce, who tragically lost their lives in a house fire over the weekend. Jesse was a Minnesota Wild correspondent for NHL.com, and we give our condolences, our thoughts, and our prayers to the rest of their family and their friends.
This podcast is brought to you by iPlayHockey.ca. iPlay is the leading hockey insurance provider to coaches, camp instructors, spring and summer hockey leagues, and tournaments across Canada. If you need insurance for hockey, iPlay has you covered. iPlay also provides hockey players and coaches with a wide range of free tools, drills, and skills in their drill vault to enhance on-ice performance, and they provide crucial off-ice knowledge as well. So if you need insurance for a hockey team, league, or camp, or if you just want to teach your kids some new drills, head on over to iPlayHockey.ca and check out their new website.
Alrighty, what's up, everyone? Welcome to episode 274 of the Boys in the Booth podcast. Cody Abrams and Melbourne, great to be back with you guys. We were obviously off last week, and so it feels like it's been a while since we've done one of these, so great to catch up here. Core 4 stories to kick it off, and then we'll get into our main subject.
Core 4.
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 All right, fellas, Core 4 for episode 274 of the podcast. Feel like we haven't done Core 4 in a while either, but here we go. Starting with the A.J. Greer suspension. The Florida Panthers forward suspended 3 games for boarding Connor Zary of the Calgary Flames. Thoughts on this and the job that the NHL Department of Player Safety did here? Too harsh, too little? What do we think?
Well, it's becoming more and more of a story. The player safety just kind of making some interesting choices over the last month or so, and really just the lack of suspensions or lengthy suspensions or meaningful suspensions that are happening. And that was not a hockey play by any means. It was incredibly dangerous and awkward, and it's a repeat offender. So I know there's going to be a lot of people like, oh, the league's going soft. These guys are all soft. But I don't think 3 games was, that just feels like a slap on the wrist for a guy who has done this before and whose team is at the bottom. I mean, it's not enough.
Yeah, totally. I agree with you, Case. 3 games is not enough for this total non-hockey play. As you can see on the screen, like, this is seconds or, milliseconds before the dirty play actually happens. And all you see is numbers there on Connor Zary, and Greer approaches him from behind, gives him a jab. The NHL is just super lucky that Connor Zary wasn't more injured from the play, because I think this could have easily been 5, 10 plus games. Like, this is such a dirty play. And if Connor Zary was meaningfully injured more than he was, this would have been way more games. But, unfortunately, it's going to take a player getting really injured for those games to be handed out. And yeah, Case, you alluded to it. The Department of Player Safety has been under scrutiny, I mean, forever, at least since George Parros took over. But think about a couple weeks ago, Austin Matthews, his season is ended by Radko Gudas, a guy who is notoriously, a guy who targets knees, and he does it all the time. Sticks out his knee on Matthews. Nobody on the Leafs does anything about it. He gets 5 games, but you know what? Matthews is done for the year because of it and had to get surgery. He underwent successful MCL surgery about a week ago for it. So, and he only gets 5 games.
Scenario for the Leafs.
It could, unless Austin comes back and, he's all of a sudden a 15 goal scorer because he can't skate anymore, like, who knows how that's going to go. So yeah, like, of course I'm bringing this back to the Leafs, but I feel like Harper wouldn't have brought this up if he didn't want me to talk about the Leafs, because the Department of Player Safety has been totally under fire recently, and for good reason. Like, these suspensions, both of them, are not enough. They both should have been more games. And listen, like, Connor Zary goes headfirst into the boards. If he gets seriously hurt here, he could potentially be paralyzed. And 3 games for that, it's a total non-hockey play. I don't know what Greer was thinking. So yeah, I just totally disagree with the amount of games that were given out for the suspension here.
Yeah, clean sweep on this one. Pardon me, guys. I mean, Greer should know better, but he is a repeat offender. His reputation in the league is not exactly sunshine and rainbows. He is having a career year for the Panthers, but I mean, that's besides the point. You're taught early on when you get into hockey as a young kid that if all you see is numbers in front of you, you got to peel back. You don't dump the guy into the boards like Greer did there. What if Connor Zary had broken his neck? Then we'd be having a totally different conversation. And again, the Gudas suspension and now this one. If it were me, I would be weighing the suspension and the amount of games based on how long the affected player or the quote unquote victim is going to be out for. And I would try to line those up. That is personally what I would do if I was the director of player safety. But
hold on, to push back on that, Harper, like in this instance, Zary, like, I don't know, do we know the extent of his injury right now? Do you guys have that in front of you?
No, but I mean, this really goes back to the Gudas knee on Matthews. If Matthews is done for the season, then I'd be looking at a suspension that is for the remainder of the season for Radko Gudas and try to line things up that way. It's just the fair, right thing to do, and in my opinion, but that's just me.
Okay, but Connor Zary is listed as day-to-day, right? So does that mean that AJ Greer should only get a game? No. I think the intent and the actual play is what matters, not how injured the player got, right? Because then we're faced with a situation, or could be faced with a situation down the line where, a player does end up becoming paralyzed or God forbid worse. And then who cares how many games that player gets at that point, right? Like it should be the intent that should be punished so that we can prevent situations like that in the future.
It does.
That's where I'm coming from.
It does get really complicated really quickly, and I mean, I guess the best thing I can say to that is it's a case by case basis sort of thing. But I know I knew after saying that it immediately gets complicated. But it's just it's just very frustrating to see what's been going on.
And sorry, I brought up that Florida's at the bottom of the league, and I mean the bottom of the East. They'd almost be in a playoff spot in the West, but we'll get to that later. I bring that up because when games are competitive and tight near the end of the season, it's tight checking, everyone's going all out, mistakes happen, hits get up high or from behind or whatever. It's just a tighter, more competitive game. This game doesn't matter almost. Yeah, Florida could win every game for the rest of the season and make the playoffs. So could Calgary technically, but this game it just doesn't matter. It's not a hockey play, so I don't know why it would be 3 games.
Yeah, he's hitting for what? Like what? Like it's not a hockey play. He's not trying to get body position. He's not, it's not like they have a realistic chance to make the playoffs. It's not in the playoffs. It's not competitive hockey.
Yeah, you got to hit still because you're trying to make a living as a guy like AJ Greer is trying to, stick around or maybe crack a third line or something like that. He's
trying to cash in,
locked in as a fourth liner now, but you still got to play. But it's just kind of a meaningless game at this point in the season in a dangerous play that is not a hockey play. So
yeah,
if this was in the playoffs, I think maybe we're talking about it differently. Like, yeah, it's still a suspension, but we're like, yeah, stuff happens in the playoffs.
Well, that's another thing too, though. If it's the playoffs, Zary probably is checking over his shoulder. He knows it's coming. In this kind of meaningless game, he's not expecting it. Like Calgary's last in the league, second last in the league. Like, and Florida is, third, second last in the Eastern Conference. So like, what's anyone playing for? Who's expecting that hit? Makes no sense.
Yeah, exactly. All right, fellas, we'll get to our next item here. And Chad, you mentioned him a minute ago, and we got to talk about Austin Matthews and his season-ending knee surgery. He'll be, recovering for the next 10 to 12 weeks, done for the season, obviously, which may be the best thing for the Maple Leafs because they could, potentially get that top 5 pick, and that would help them certainly for seasons to come. So we'll see how that all plays out here. But, there was a conversation about if guys aren't healthy, shutting them down. And, well, in kind of a screwed up way, and this is terrible to say, but maybe Radko Gudas did the Leafs a favor by getting Matthews out for the remainder of the season. That's awful. I don't know what's
big favor.
Yeah, what's gotten into me here as we're starting episode 274. But Matthews' knee surgery done for the year and heads into an early off season, and all of the Leafs will be here very shortly.
Yeah, and I mean, they're trying to crash and burn hard to hold on to their first round pick. Have you guys read the conditions on that pick? I'm sure you're aware of the whole Boston situation. But
yes, I've seen the flow chart too on Puckpedia.
I was not aware of the Philly. And just listen to this, and I'm going to read this and butcher it because it's so sloppy. But the first round pick is top 5 protected, slides to 2027. The 2027 pick goes to Philadelphia as part of the Lawton trade if it's outside of the top 10, which converts this pick to Boston to a 2028 unprotected first-round pick. If the pick slides to 2027 and is in the top 10, Toronto can either transfer it to Boston to satisfy this trade and then give Philadelphia a 2028 unprotected, or transfer it to Philly and give Boston the 28 unprotected first-round pick. Did you follow that?
BetterHelp is the paid partner of this video. The new year is a blank space for you to write a new story. BetterHelp makes it more convenient to get you started. BetterHelp is fully online, making therapy more comfortable and convenient. They carefully make sure therapists on the platform are well qualified, and their customer support team is there to help you if you have any questions. With over 7,000 reviews and a 4.5 rating on Trustpilot, BetterHelp is a platform you can trust. Your next chapter starts today. Get 10% off your first month of BetterHelp online therapy at betterhelp.com/boysinthebooth in paid partnership with BetterHelp.
Yes. Look, have you seen this chart? This was put out by Puckpedia, by the way. They drew this funny little chart. This explains if the pick is going to be tough. If the Leafs are going to keep their pick.
Said, "Here you go, Leaf fans. We've never done a tree like this before, but here you go, because that's all you're worried about."
Exactly.
Oh boy.
God. Yeah, listen, the thing about the Matthews injury and whether it's best for the Leafs or not, in theory, right, it seems like that would be good for the Leafs because he's their best player and he goes down and they're trying to tank. They want to keep that top 5 pick. But since that game, I'm just looking at it now, they lose to the Sabres but pick up a point. They beat the Minnesota Wild. Okay, they pick up a point against the Hurricanes. Like, they're playing competitive games here. They're picking up points because all the talk after that game was these guys are soft. They don't stick up for each other. There's the photos of, William Nylander being on the ice, Morgan Rielly being on the ice when it happened, and just looking at Austin, their captain, their best player, one of the best goal scorers in the league, laying there on the ice, and they did nothing about it, right? They did absolutely nothing about it. So all the talk from the media, not just in Toronto, but this turned into a national story, was these guys are soft. They don't care, and some of the players, because they're competitive guys, they took that to heart, and all of a sudden they're playing well. They're picking up points. They're fighting guys in games. And it's like, no, wrong lessons, wrong time to learn those lessons. Like, maybe you should have done that earlier in the season when Matthews got smoked by Nikita Zadorov, and then, remember this, chased after him, tried to throw a hit and hurt himself after doing that. Maybe someone should have stepped up for Matthews then, when they still had time to be good and make the playoffs and do something with this season. But it's all over now. Like, what are they doing? Like, what is the point of playing well and standing up for your teammates now that your captain and best player is down? Like, too little, too late, guys. And they're picking up points here that could potentially sewer them for getting a top 5 overall pick. It's crazy. Wrong time.
Yeah. I mean, you know how this is going to shake out, right? Boston's going to end up getting the 6th overall pick in the draft. They're going to get so close. And by the way, Bo Grew looks pretty good. I have to say it.
Yeah, I'd like to see more of them. I'd like to see more Bo Grew. I'd like to see Landon Sim. I'd like to see more Jacob Quillen. I'd like to see William Villeneuve. Sit everybody. Why is Matthew Nye still playing? He's playing through a knee injury right now.
Shut him down. Shut him down. Exactly.
Entirely. And tank. Exactly. They're not that far from the bottom 5 in the league. They could do it. And, if you put yourself in that, 4 to 6 window, like 4th last to 6th last window, you at least give yourself a shot at the top 5 pick. So, I don't know.
It's also after the lottery. So they could come 5th, and then if anyone 100%. Wins the lottery, then it's a 6th pick and Boston gets it. So
100%.
It's just the most uncertain thing in the world right now.
Have you guys been doing any of the lottery, like mock lottery drafts at all? What is it, Tankathon? Have you guys been doing that?
Tankathon.
No. I've heard people doing it. Like, you guys know I listen to Real Kipper and Bourne, and they've been doing it on their show every day just to see where the Leafs end up based on the probability where they currently are in the standings, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I would say the overwhelming majority of the time, it's 6, 7, or 8. It's not good.
Gosh.
It's not good.
No.
It's not good.
No. All right, we'll move on to our last 2 items here. Alex Ovechkin, guys, hits 1,000 goals. This is regular season and playoffs combined. Just remarkable again. And pretty cool that Cole Hudson gets his first NHL assist on Ovi's 1,000th goal. It wasn't a losing effort to the Colorado Avalanche, but, I mean, they've been beaten up on everybody this year. But pretty cool that that Ovi reaches yet another milestone, and boy, the NHL is not going to be the same moving forward without the grade 8.
It must feel so good to have been on that team the last couple of years, and even right now where they're probably, or most likely, maybe definitely on the outside looking in of the playoffs, but they've got to still be on cloud 9. Just being a part of this and seeing this all unfold, and getting an assist on his 1,000th goal, like, that's amazing. All those guys love him so much, and just being part of that means everything. And you saw that when he was in the race to beat Gretzky for the longest time there. Guys like Dylan Strome, every time Ovechkin scored, they are just lit up, as happy as could be, happy as you'd be for anyone scoring a goal. So that'd be so much fun to be on that team.
Yeah, 100%. And like, guys, this year, like, he's no slouch either. He's still putting goals in the net. Like, it's not like he's slowing down. I mean, of course, over time he has slowed down a little bit, but he's still producing. And it's just so impressive that this is a guy who came into the league with Sid, had all the hype on him, all the expectations, and lived up to it, right? We've seen his career from start until probably finish when he's, playing in the KHL and putting up 50 goals when he's 50. Like, this is a guy who just continues to do it in all different types of ways. Like, when he came into the league, it was his speed, right? His explosiveness and everything there. And then it was kind of his toughness, and he wasn't afraid to kind of be a power forward. And all throughout, it was his shot as well. And now he's not as fleet of foot, and he doesn't really throw his body as much as he used to when he was younger, but he still just bangs it from the spot, like, over and over, and nobody's figured it out. Like, he's got 26 goals this year, and like, he's not slowing down. So good for him. Hits 1,000, second guy ever to do it. Unbelievable. What else can you say?
Yeah, it really is. And I mean, this might be it. Like, this season might be it for the grade 8. He was very honest recently about, his age, his body, all of that. He's definitely slowed down this year. Like, he visibly looks slower. He's not as noticeable, but again, the numbers, the production is still there. It's incredible. And I'm sure you guys saw this or were aware of this, but he has not taken a single defensive zone draw at
Yes.
all this season. Obviously, he doesn't take faceoffs, but he hasn't been put in that position all season long. Like, it's just amazing. And he's still putting the puck in the back of the net. Like, it's incredible.
And he's on pace for 30 goals. I mean, of course, he's getting those favorable matchups. I totally forgot about that. I saw that tweeted a couple weeks ago. Like, Ovi has the potential to do the funniest thing in a long time and just never start in the defensive zone. Like, literally not one time this season. And I really hope that they stay faithful to that and don't start him once in the zone. But guy's on pace for 30 goals. Like, I already said, he has 26 right now. A lot of guys would kill. Like, half the league would kill to score 30 goals, more than half the league. Like, that is, and he's doing it at his age. It's incredible. Like, truly the greatest goal scorer to exist. It's amazing.
Absolutely. No, that's for sure. All right, fellas, last item for Core 4 segues right into our episode topic, talking about how bad the Western Conference is in general. In particular, the Pacific Division compared to the East. Talking about, and it's kind of funny that we bring up how bad the West is, but meanwhile, the only two teams to clinch playoff spots so far are from the Western Conference. From the Central Division, it is the Colorado Avalanche and the Dallas Stars, the first two teams to clinch. That'll be our last item here, and it kind of segues into talking about how tough the West has been this season. So let's just talk about these two powerhouses all year long being the first two teams to clinch.
This podcast is sponsored by SeatGeek, the absolute best ticket app out there. SeatGeek takes the confusion out of buying tickets, making it quick and easy to get the best deals to tickets at your favorite sporting event. SeatGeek does this awesome thing where they score each ticket out of 10 based on its value, so you know whether you're getting a good or a bad deal. Last time I got tickets to see the Devils play, I first saw red tickets. I waited it out, monitored the price in-app, and once I saw green, I pulled the trigger. SeatGeek makes it that easy. And here's the best part. SeatGeek has completely hooked us up. Boys in the Booth listeners get $20 off their first purchase on SeatGeek with the promo code BOYSINTHEBOOTH in all caps. Click the link in our description to download the app, and remember to get your discounted tickets using the code BOYSINTHEBOOTH in all caps. Get great seats for a fraction of the cost with SeatGeek.
Case?
Sorry, I was having a bit of technical difficulties.
I heard you were clicking around.
That's
there.
okay.
Yeah. Go ahead, Chad.
Yeah, I mean, it's no surprise that these are the two teams who clinch first, right? And you should mention too that Vancouver has been eliminated from the playoffs. So
yes, thank you.
What a year they have had. The only team in the NHL as of right now who can't win out the rest of their games. But yeah, and make the playoffs. But yeah, Colorado and Dallas both clinching a playoff spot is incredible. It's a true shame that one of those teams, the one who doesn't win their division, is going to have to play likely the Minnesota Wild in the first round and is going to be out in the first round. You know, like one of those two really good teams. So,
or they face each other in round two.
That's true. And I mean, that's very likely, right?
Yeah.
That's very likely. So yeah, we could talk about the playoff format. I know that was a big topic of discussion at the GM meetings over this past week, but I mean, good for them. I'm surprised that Dallas has gotten so close to Colorado. Like, I think at one point they were within a couple points. Now the gap has widened a little bit. Colorado's at 102 and Dallas is at 97. But yeah, like Colorado started the season incredibly hot and then just kind of didn't stop until in and around the trade deadline when they got all those new guys and they had to kind of figure it out from there. They were skidding a little bit, but it seems like they have things back on track. And of course they clinched. They're still sitting at the number one spot in the Central. So, you know, good for them. And then Dallas, like I said, I'm surprised that they were able to make up so much ground on Colorado, given the point gap at the start of the year. They've been good all year, and they've been a good team for a long time now. So it is a shame that they're going to have to play a really good team in both rounds 1 and 2, because all of a sudden, like, and I mean, this is kind of off topic, but Dallas to me is kind of becoming like the San Jose of years past, kind of becoming like the Carolina of the West, like a team who is just really good and is always at the dance and has a really good core who's locked up for a long time, but just never seems to get it done. So I'm really, Dallas is a team for me. Like, I'm kind of pulling for them.
I've been pulling for them for years.
Yes.
You know that I have always been taking them pretty deep in the playoff predictions, but obviously it's no surprise that these two teams are going to clinch first. I mean, they get to play other teams in the West all the time, and that's obviously a favorable situation, but they're also very good teams. Like, we're going to talk about how bad the West is, but 2 of the 3 best teams in the league are from the West. And it's been that way for years now with these guys. And I mean, throw in your Edmonton and Vegas in there as well. They've always been very top heavy, but that's what happens when you get to play garbage teams a lot as well. But plus 82 goal differential for Colorado, plus 50 for Dallas. These guys, I'm sure if you looked up the game logs, they've been trashing Eastern Conference teams all year long as well. So I'm just taking shots at them for fun. I'm not taking anything away from these two teams. They're phenomenal. And then, Vancouver out of the playoffs already. They took the race for last place very seriously this year. And it's paid off for them and probably what they needed. So I'm okay with it.
Comfortably in 32nd, the Vancouver Canucks. Comfortably.
And
boy.
Who are they going to take first overall? Stenberg? It sounds like it's going to be Stenberg for them.
Yeah.
They love their Swedes.
We'll
a lot
see.
of rumblings around that, so never know.
We'll see. I mean, I would expect them to be in the lottery mix next year as well. And pretty interesting comments from projected number 1 overall pick Landon Dupont in 2027, saying that his favorite team growing up was the Vancouver Canucks. So we'll have to see. But yes, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out for them. By the way, just a quick comment on Colorado. Watched a little bit of them in a pair of games over the weekend, one against Chicago. And I mean, Chicago's a young team. They haven't quite taken a step like San Jose and Anaheim have this year, but they're so young. They were just totally outmatched by Colorado. Like, I mean, they put on a clinic against Chicago. And then in the overtime on Sunday against the Capitals, they had the puck the whole time. Martin Necas, the speed, like, it's unbelievable. The year Brock Nelson has had, after we all were critical of that contract that they gave him and what they gave up to get him in that trade and everything. My goodness, man, Colorado's just a juggernaut. And that goes for Dallas too. Wyatt Johnston, 3rd straight season, having a career year quietly, 33 goals, 71 points. I mean, when you get thinking about underrated stars in our game, like, he is really creeping up to the top of the list for me. So those were just a couple of notes that I had to add talking about these two clubs.
Yeah, and Wyatt Johnson in particular, he'll be on the next Team Canada at the Olympics.
Think so. Yeah,
I think.
I would think so.
I think they're going to go younger, and this kid, like, he's been so good now for a few years.
Yes.
You guys remember back when we had Gavin White on, and we asked him who was the best player he's ever played against, or at least in the CHL, and he didn't even think about it. He said Wyatt Johnson right away.
100%.
And I mean, that was before Wyatt was in the NHL.
Yeah.
Here he is.
Well, because he went to Stars camp, didn't he? And he played with them there too. And he was like, this guy is sick. So
yeah.
And by the way, Harp, speaking of Whitey, like, did you see? I mean, obviously you made the post, but that post you made with Gavin White and Simon Mack on the Boys in the Booth account, you see it has 10K views.
Yeah,
you see that? That's pretty crazy.
No, it did. It did well. It did well on Facebook too.
And
pretty cool.
So the post is those two guys. from Brockville suited up for the Calgary Wranglers.
That's right.
In a game a couple weeks ago. So
that's right.
I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I know that I'm going to try to go, but Easter weekend, there's a bus going from Brockville to Laval, Quebec to see hopefully both of those boys playing for the Wranglers against the Laval Rocket. So hopefully get to go to that. And if I do, I'll be sure to get some content from there. But yeah, pretty cool. Two great local kids and getting a chance to play together in the American Hockey League a little closer to home. It's pretty cool.
Good stuff.
Absolutely. All right, fellas, let's get into our main episode topic here. Again, talking about just how bad the Western Conference is compared to the East, and in particular, the Pacific Division. Like, just to give some perspective, and I think it's really good timing that we're talking about this, because I've been having a lot of conversations with other hockey fans, buddies of ours, that are saying, like, it's crazy that the Ottawa Senators would be comfortably in a playoff spot in the Pacific Division in particular, if they were in the West. And so, I mean, even the Philadelphia Flyers, 5 points out of a wild card spot in the East, they'd be in second right now in the Pacific Division. Like, it's absolutely wild. So, again, guys, like a good episode topic, I think, good timing for it. Where do we kind of want to start here on why the West has fallen off so much this year compared to the East? We knew that the East was going to be much more superior, but I don't think we expected this.
No. Yeah, we could sit here all day and be like, oh, these guys would be in the playoffs in the West and these guys are bad. But just look at the goal differential in the West. Look at some of these teams. In the wild card spot is the Nashville Predators with -23. Just outside and likely going to take that spot if they can get their shit together is LA, and they're -26. First in the Pacific, Anaheim, -7. And then you flip over to the East, and the only team really in the hunt that's minus is Detroit and I suppose Philly. And they're -3 and -9.
Yeah.
That's right. It's pretty ridiculous, but I started trying to just make an excuse for this. I looked back in time because I thought, okay, who was good 8.5 years ago? Because that's the number they've been putting out as how long it takes to rebuild a hockey team. 8.5 years. So maybe it's just the case that 8.5 years ago, or 7 years ago, so meaning they're still in their rebuild right now, the West teams were just phenomenal. But you look back and who was good 7 to 10 to 12 years ago, and it's still Tampa Bay, it's Boston, it's Florida, it's Washington, Pittsburgh, like all of these teams. And then the teams in the West that were good at that time are LA and Nashville, and it's just like that narrative quickly.
Chicago.
Yeah, the only one that makes sense of that is San Jose. Chicago was good 14 years ago and they're still rebuilding. So that one is still like that narrative. I tried to make an excuse for them, just fell out right away. And I was like, I don't really understand. I know that there was a time where the West went on a run, Chicago and LA dominated for a while there, but then it was quickly Pittsburgh and Washington to dominate, and then Tampa. And those teams are still good and still in the hunt. So I'm done trying to make excuses for the West. I mean, I started looking at tax brackets and taxed states and provinces, and yeah, California gets taxed pretty heavily, but I mean, it fluctuates so much east to west, so it doesn't matter. I tried to make an excuse. I don't have one. I hope Chad has some stats for us.
I've got a couple stats, but on the tax thing, Case, did you guys see that Seattle, like the state of Washington, just introduced a 10% state tax for people who earn more than $1 million in a year? So all NHL players who, I mean, not that Seattle was attracting players because they were some sort of tax haven or whatever, but conceivably in the future, right? If Seattle becomes really good, they could have been seen as this place where you can go, like it's a relatively nice city, and you can play there tax-free. Well, Not anymore. 10%. It's actually 9.9% that you get taxed now if you make more than $1 million if you play in Seattle. So just thought that was interesting. It's another state that's added to the, state tax conversation here. So not that it was advantage for Seattle, but think about, maybe if Florida introduced a 25% state tax or something, things might change in terms of what they're able to pay players. Just saying, Gary Bettman's never going to do anything about it, but I'm just saying there's a real difference there. So I had to get that out there. This is crazy, guys. Like off the top, we were talking about teams who are outside of the playoffs in the East, who would be in a playoff spot in the West. Let's go through it. Like right now, Detroit, Ottawa, Philly, and Washington all would be comfortably in a playoff spot by at least 4 points if they played in the Western Conference. Like, this is a joke.
If you just took the top 16 teams, 11 playoff teams would be in the East.
That's insane. And this was bugging me all year, right? Because, leading up to the deadline, and yes, I'm going to bring it back to the Leafs, but give me a sec. This makes sense, okay? Leading up to the deadline, everyone was talking about how the Maple Leafs are terrible, right? Oh, they're so bad. They got to sell. The only way out of this is they got to sell. They got to blow it up. They got to trade Matthews, Nylander, Nyes, everybody else. They got to sell. They're horrible. They're horrible. At the time, the Edmonton Oilers were first in their division and 2 points ahead of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Like, we're not playing the same ball game here, folks. Like, it's a totally different, like, these are different leagues right now. And I don't know, like, the teams at the top of the West are obviously really good, but there's just absolutely no depth in that conference. And that's really the biggest thing. Like, you've got teams, Case, you mentioned it, like Nashville, LA, Seattle, San Jose, Winnipeg. Like, they're all still sort of in the race, and they all just have putrid goal differentials, especially San Jose at minus 35. If you're minus 35, you should not be competing for a playoff spot. And if you're minus 23 for that matter, you should not be holding a playoff spot. It's insane. And Senators fans, like I've seen it all over Twitter, right? Like, this is a team who's been so good, especially since the Olympic break, especially since the new year, right? But they're still on the outside looking in.
Yeah.
They're finally getting saves. They're like, in every statistical category, in every like type of analytic measure that you can think of,
really good underlying
the Sens
numbers.
have been a great team, right? And they're finally getting saves. They're still 4 points out. Like, they're not going to make the playoffs in all likelihood. So it's wild to me. And so I mentioned I had some stats too, and this was from a few days ago, so it may have slightly changed, but the point still stands. Someone tweeted, the Isles are now on pace to become the greatest team ever to miss the playoffs with 99 points. Greatest team ever to miss the playoffs. The previous record was 96. And I want to say that was only a couple years ago. I think Calgary missed when they had 96 points and they tied with somebody and didn't have the tiebreaker, I want to say. I'd have to look into that, but that's what's coming to my memory. And so Justin Bourne quote tweets it, and he says, the NHL is on pace for the greatest point disparity between conferences going back 30 years. The East cutoff will probably be around 99 points. The West cutoff could be as low as 87 points to get into the playoffs, guys. And he just lists like the years where the point differential between the two cutoffs were at its greatest. 1995-96, there was a 10-point differential, and that's sort of where we're heading this year. So those are the stats I wanted to share.
Yeah, that's pretty remarkable.
That's a crazy stat. And it's just funny when you look at look at the East and think about teams that we were projecting to either win their division or come top 3 in their division. New Jersey, Florida, Toronto. I don't think we had the Rangers very low. I think we had them in a wild card spot or something like that. So it's pretty crazy that, the teams that we expected to start being bad, like a Pittsburgh, or we had no clue what Buffalo was going to be. But I don't know. We're just kind of getting absolutely shocked. But then again, you look at the West, and Winnipeg is the only outlier here. So
yeah, no, exactly. I think we've brought up some really good stuff here, some really good stats, and I'm really glad that mine hasn't been brought up yet. And I just have one team to use as an example, but regulation wins, gentlemen. And this may be the year that sticks out like a sore thumb to the NHL that makes them in the future change the point system to the 3-2-1. And so the reality is, in the Western Conference, a lot of these teams don't win in regulation. And the team that I'm going to use as the example here is the Vegas Golden Knights.
Yes.
Second place in the Pacific, 78 points, a point ahead of the Edmonton Oilers, who are sitting there in third at 77. Guys, the Vegas Golden Knights have 32 wins this season. Do you know how many of them are in regulation? 16.
I do, because I'm looking at it.
Yeah.
16 regulation wins. Guys, we are almost at the end of March. 16 regulation wins.
Would you like to source where you're getting that stat from?
Wait, yeah, 24. 24 is the number.
24? Oh, shoot.
you were committed. I think you might be referring to maybe home regulation wins. Maybe that's what you're going for. But it's 24. But the point is,
Harp, you crash and burn there, but what you're saying was spot on.
It makes sense.
Vegas has 24 regulation wins. Minnesota has 25. Florida has 27. And they're not even close to the playoffs. Like this is very much you're on the right path, and then we're misled with a column.
I appreciate you guys picking me up there. I'll be honest, I did a very quick Google search, and the 16, the number 16 popped up at the top, and so apologize for that. But again, it goes back to the main point that I was trying to make there. The numbers may not have been correct, but just it's not enough. It's just not enough wins in regulation. And it again points to the fact that maybe we need to go to a 3-2-1 point system, because a lot of these teams in the West that are in pretty prominent positions in their respective divisions, they just don't win enough in regulation. So, and again, apologies for the stat mix up there.
Yeah, they have 14 OTLs, and to this point, Harp, they have 78 points, right? Vegas does, with 24 regulation wins. They're currently 6th in the conference if you sort by points. Okay. St. Louis is 13th if you sort by points in the conference. They have 25 regulation wins. So they have one more regulation win than the Vegas Golden Knights, but they have 67 points compared to Vegas's 78.
Right.
So, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
They have an extra win.
30 points for Vegas came in a game where they didn't win.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah,
but they're never going to do 3-2-1.
Sorry, that's not right.
No, 28.
28.
Okay. 28. Yeah, but you're close. All right, guys, let's stop doing math.
We're having a tough time here.
Let's stop doing math.
I look at numbers and stats all day. You can't throw these at me and expect me to figure it out. They have 14 overtime losses, so they have 14 points coming from games they didn't win. Don't listen to me.
Yeah.
We're a mess. Oh my God.
But the point remains.
Yeah, the point remains, and that's the important thing here. Exactly.
Oh my God. It is crazy. Vegas is definitely the outlier here, but the NHL is never going to do 3-2-1, because if they went to that point system, it just wouldn't be as close for as long, right? The teams who win in regulation would just get way more points, and you wouldn't have races like this down the stretch, right? It's the same reason why they're never going to go back to the old 1 versus 8 playoff format. It's because this is an entertainment product, and you want it to matter for as long as possible in the regular season.
Yeah.
And you want it to matter as much as possible in the first round, when all the money comes in terms of sponsorships and advertising. And that's why they're going to keep the first round as absolutely insane. right?
I think that's stupid. And I think that the most important entertainment is in the playoffs because that's when they get the most viewership every single year. So why would you not want the best teams going the latest into the playoffs as possible?
You would think. You would think it would make a lot of sense.
I just think, whatever gives you the most parity in the league year after year, because that's what this
does.
Yes.
The 3-2-1 would eliminate parity, right? So you got to choose one or the other. You either want every team to be totally mid, or you want the good teams to separate themselves from the bad. And the 3-2-1 allows for the latter, but how it is right now, like every team is basically just in the middle forever because you reward the loser point.
We interrupt this podcast to tell you about one of our favorite partners, Sign Up Expert. If you're a sports bettor, whether brand new, casual, or hardcore, listen very carefully because this ad is for you. Guys, line shopping for the best odds matters, and that's why any profitable sports bettor needs to be using multiple sports books to maximize their profits. Thankfully, there has never been a better time to get signed up, and we are here to connect you with the best promotions industry-wide. When you use our link at signupexpert.com/boysinthebooth, you can get access to all of the top sportsbooks in your region, along with a review of each platform and its unique benefits. Most importantly, all of these sportsbooks have valuable sign-up offers for new users. And when you register through our link, you will automatically receive the top offer at each one, allowing you to start line shopping with an enhanced bankroll. Guys, it's simple. When you use multiple sportsbooks, you ensure that you can always access the best available odds, which is key to successful and profitable sports betting. So, if you want to take advantage of these incredible benefits and support our brand at the same time, please consider signing up for your next sportsbook through our link in the description below, signupexpert.com/boysinthebooth. If you're planning on signing up for a new sportsbook anyways, you might as well use our link and support the boys. So, one more time, that's signupexpert.com/boysinthebooth. 30 points came from overtime. That's what I was trying to say with Vegas.
Okay. I believe you. I'm not going to fact check. I just believe you on that one.
And I don't know.
Frig, I hate myself. Oh my
16. God. Vancouver has 14.
Yeah.
God,
it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
What was it? What was the number? 24? 24
yes.
for Vegas
24.
wins. Okay.
And not that we're doing a full episode on the playoff format. Maybe we should. I don't think it's ever going to change, though, while Gary's at the helm. So maybe it's wasted oxygen. But think about the amount of teams in the conference final recently who have gone out in 4 or 5 games. A lot of teams, right? A lot of sweeps, a lot of short series in the conference final. And that's because the best teams face each other in the first and second round. Like, it doesn't make any sense, guys. Like we talked about earlier, the top 3 teams in the West are all in the Central Division right now. They're going to have to beat the crap out of each other in the first 2 rounds, and then they'll probably sweep whoever makes it from the Pacific. It'll probably be the Anaheim Ducks, right? Like, it could be the Ducks, and they're going to beat them in 5 games, and they're going to coast all the way to the finals, and they're going to play, Tampa Bay or Buffalo. Could be Buffalo. And we'll see what happens there.
My counter to that, Chad, though, is like the last couple of years we've seen, probably the 2 best teams in the East go at it in the Eastern Conference Finals, and those have been short series as well. You can't tell me that Carolina is not supposed to be there and not a top team in the East playing Florida, and that unfortunately just ends up being a short series for Carolina. So
that's fair.
Not really seeing that in the East, and I mean in the West, you've had Edmonton there who
who just gets a cakewalk to the third round every year.
Like you think they're down and out and changing goaltenders and not getting enough depth, and all of a sudden it just comes together against a very good Dallas Stars team, and they're off to the finals again.
All right, but I think you just kind of proved Chad's point about the short Eastern Conference Finals, because last year Carolina was second in the Metro, meaning that they had to play the Devils, and then had a tougher fight to the end where they lost quick. The year before that, Carolina was second in the Metro, so it's those teams that become second and third. They just have a grueling fight to the Eastern Conference Finals or the Western Conference Finals, and then they get swept by, this year it's going to be Colorado sweeping someone in the Western Conference Finals because they beat Nashville and whoever won Game 7 of Dallas and Minnesota, and they're all beat up and tired. So it's just kind of the way it sets things up. But I mean, maybe that's just the reward for winning your division. That's the true prize. That's the true goal, is to win your division.
Yeah, but then if you're second or third, you get absolutely boned and like not rewarded at all.
I mean, look at baseball. You talk that could be worse, guys.
Yeah, no, I mean,
no, for sure.
Could be 1-8 though as well. Could be 1-8. Could be 1-16.
And travel would suck.
could be 1-16, and we could see Colorado play, I don't know, the Oilers in the first round or something. Like, I don't know what it would be right now, but
could be 1-16, and Philadelphia would be flying to Dallas for their first season or first game. Like that.
Yeah,
that would blow.
That would be crazy.
Yeah.
1-16. Let me do it right now. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Colorado would play Utah in the first round. Philly would play Dallas. Ottawa would play Carolina. Anaheim would play Buffalo. That could be the Stanley Cup final, by the way. Detroit would play Minnesota. New York Islanders would play Tampa. Columbus would play Montreal. Pittsburgh would play Boston. That would be 1-16 right now.
I
good matchups.
I'm not interested in any of those matchups. So scrap everything we said.
You don't want to see Philly, Dallas first round?
Not a single one of those.
Yeah, those are
1-8. It's the best. You play your conference. You play your rivals. The best teams move on. Yada yada yada.
1-16. I don't think we didn't get a single rivalry at all in that.
No. Just Anaheim, garbage. Buffalo. Come on, that'd be a good one.
Oh, yeah. Like, I don't know, maybe Colorado, Utah would be good, but Buffalo, Anaheim would be a great final. By the way.
Yeah, it'd be Dahlin and Gudis just going at it. But yeah, there's your 1-16 matchups, boys, right there. So Freedom and Weep. Hardly any Western Conference teams there. So
yeah, well,
and by the way,
no kidding.
Vegas would miss, the Oilers would miss, Nashville would miss, LA would miss. Like all those teams who are in playoff spots or right around a playoff spot in the West, they would miss the playoffs in a 1-16. Not saying that that'll ever happen, but just goes to show how bad the conference is. And by the way, one more thing I wanted to say too is if the trade deadline never happened this year, right? Like if some of these teams in the Eastern Conference were approaching the trade deadline and didn't have to worry about a playoff spot, right? Like they wouldn't have sold. Right. So like they would have had even more points than they do right now. I'm talking about teams like New Jersey, Toronto, Florida. Like they wouldn't have, I mean, I guess Toronto really is the only one who sold out of those, but it's just interesting. Like there would have been more points up for grabs, and it probably would have been even closer all the way down if teams didn't commit at the trade deadline to selling because they were out of a spot at the time, despite the fact that they would have been in a spot in the West. So just a thought I had too.
I mean, look at Nashville. They kind of did a bit of a soft sell. All of a sudden, they've won 4 in a row, and they're right back in the mix.
Yeah, that's weird. They're a weird team.
They are. There's a lot of them.
And something I just kind of thought of here is this season's been so strange, and the way the conference is working out, and looking, we've flipped on its head who we projected to be in the playoffs. Let's talk about that thing that might not exist anymore, the American Thanksgiving stat. Here are some teams that were in a playoff spot at American Thanksgiving: Ottawa,
Ooh.
New Jersey, Washington, and LA. Teams that were dead last in the league were Buffalo
Wow. At American Thanksgiving?
and Nashville. Those were the two last place teams in the league, Buffalo and Nashville.
Wow. That's
So,
crazy. Because
maybe
Buffalo
take
is
that
probably going
stat
to be
and shove it.
Buff is probably going to be like the fourth team to clinch in the league right now, to clinch a playoffs. Like they're sitting in fourth in the NHL, right? So like that's wild. So
Yeah, but they're in the East, so they're probably going to be the seventh team to clinch a playoffs.
that is, I guess that is true. If
Like,
all else
I mean,
being equal, they
Carolina's going to be ahead of them. Minnesota's going to clinch here anytime now, so I don't know.
Yeah, no, that is true. I didn't really take that into account, but I do remember early in the year, and maybe it was that episode, absolutely clowning on the Sabres, saying that they're gonna miss again, they're dead last, whatever. Maybe that's karma catching up to me, but maybe it's not though, because you guys know I like to do the shutout thing when a goalie I need to let in some goals. You know, I go to his chat and say shutout, or I say it out aloud. I beat Emerson last week in fantasy. I think partially because I went into Karel Vamelka's Yahoo fantasy chat and I said shutout. He got a shutout earlier in the week, and I was like, there's no way he does it again. And then I think he let in 3 and got the loss or something. So
classic.
Yeah.
What
Anyway.
a season he's had, by the way. Like very quietly, one of the best goaltenders in the entire league this year.
They're a good team too. I mean, relatively speaking, but
Mhm.
I like them.
Yeah.
I like Utah.
And I believe, just going back to the Sabres for a second, I believe at American Thanksgiving, their record was like 11-14-4 before the 10-game streak. And then the best 40-game run since the 95-96 Red Wings, I believe. Like it's been absolute madness. And now, so you're en route to ending a 14-year playoff drought, and potentially with home ice advantage in the first round, no less. Like it's just, it's unbelievable. I don't even know what to say.
Crazy. Here's the 95-96 Red Wings. Fedorov, Yzerman, Paul Coffey, Igor Larionov, Nick Lidstrom, Pete Primo, Nino Cicerelli. And you got Tage Lemieux. That's all you need.
There it is. Thank you.
Oh
gosh.
Okay. Is that it, boys? We're kind of rambling here. Do we need to cover anything else?
Yeah, good to go. I'm still just kicking myself here for some of the number mix-ups, but we all had a few of those. We're working the rust off, boys.
Yeah.
That's okay. It's all right. All right. That'll do it for this one. Thanks for coming back to us, listening to episode 274. Appreciate it as always. Boys in the Booth Podcast, proud partner of I Play Hockey, and look forward to the final stretch of the regular season before playoffs here. We're almost into April. Looking forward to more future episodes, and we'll be back next week with episode 275. Thanks, and take care.